Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to DCUO Online. I'm, of course, Trex, and alongside me, as always, is Superpatriot.
Well, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
We do apologize that there was no stream for this. I had a lot of technical difficulties trying to get my internet to work with me, and sadly, it was not. It was not a very fun experience. So, hopefully, you don't see the logo on the screen. Hopefully, you might see like a raid or something on alt. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to put up yet as I'm recording this. So, it could be a surprise. I don't know. I have footage somewhere. I can.
I think what you should do is, all right, before you post a video up with this over there, when you get on your PS3 tune, and I take you through some like duos and stuff.
I can't record that.
I can record that and I can give you the video.
How are you going to give me the video?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I figure so. I was about this. You give me the audio, and then I'll post it up on my channel.
Okay, shush.
Oh! You don't like that idea?
I'm just saying, and as a thought. I'll put that on the. I'll put a pin on that on the wall.
Wait a second. Are you saying you don't ever want to air one of the podcasts on my channel?
No, I'm saying that's actually a really neat idea. I put a pin on it. I put the pin in it. It's on the wall. You want me to take a picture? I won't take a picture. But we do. Excuse me. Again, we do apologize that we cannot stream it. But however we get it out to you, we will get it out to you. So. And Super Patriot says, the chat's not here to distract me, so we can stay on point.
You can stay on point and not go into like different, multiple tangents of a conversation.
It's what I do. I'm known for it. Trust me, I have ADD. I can find like a butterfly flying in my room and I can do it.
I think we all understand the fact you have ADD.
Right? Yeah. So in our discussions, be sure to head to the DCO forums. You can, of course, start its own little thread to bring in the community in there as well. I might start it. I don't know yet. So if I don't start it by the time this is released, go to the DCO official forums in the Gotham City, start up a thread discussing this. If the fans do it, I would really appreciate it because it'll make me feel better with my ego. That would be great. But if you got, most likely I'm going to try and do it. But if you don't see it by the time this is released, please start up a thread, start the discussion, because we're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff on here that I would have really liked to hear the community's feedback on it. So without further ado, we can go straight into talking about it. Yay. So first things, something that came on my Hound format last week before Jens came out with his big forum breaker was a forum topic that came up was should we take away scoreboards? Now, the scoreboard is, of course, that nice little box that pops up at the end of challenges, raids, alerts, all that good stuff. It pops up right there at the end. People look at the scoreboards and I guess they value its numbers. I guess. I mean, it comes down to a point of stroking your ego a little bit, I guess. Because, I mean, of course, possibly 3 DPS are going to be in the run. You're looking at the top 3 DPS, like, yeah, I broke 1 million. Woot. Next person below it, oh, you only hit 500,000. And the third, it's like, up 250. What's going on here, guys? What's going on? So, I mean, I know the DPS look at that heavily. I'm not really sure on how the healers, I know tanks. I know when I'm tanking, I like to see how much damage I was taking in, and making sure it was above everybody else. Because if it wasn't, I have a problem. I mean, what's your feedback on the scoreboard?
Well, I mean, it can be a somewhat useful tool at times. All right. My opinion on it is the fact that, all right, I mean, there's ways of looking at it. I mean, like for me personally, all right, I don't care how much, healing out a healer has in either PvP or PvE, all right? All that is telling me how much damage you're healing on somebody else whether it's the tank, DPS, controllers, or whatnot. Now, obviously, if you're doing something with two healers and you see, one healer has an insurmountable number, uh, you know, of healing out over the other healer, obviously, that other healer needs to step up his game and all that, and that's the telling factor for that healer and for the group. But for the most part, I mean, damage out. I mean, fantastic, man. You did like 4 million damage. Great. You know, you know. But for me, it's not one of those things I look at for bragging rights. You know, I go in DPS rates, a lot with my league now, and I never, go in there thinking to myself. I mean, I'll joke around. We joke around with each other and all that, but I never go in there, like, oh man, I didn't get top damage. I suck, And I honestly think, a lot of people should take that kind of approach to it because it's not about how much damage you do. It's not about how much healing you do. It's not even about how much damage you take in as the tank. Right? It's about whether you beat it or not. And if you beat it in a non-ridiculously, length of time. That's just me.
I know when it came to my old MMO that I used to play, looking at those numbers was I actually did enjoy looking at those numbers in my old MMO that I played, especially as my healer. Because the thing that was different with that was when, as a healer, when I looked at my stats, looked at all my healing out that I did, I could look at each individual player. In DCUO, you can't do that because you can't target a single player. You're doing AoE heals. So the AoE, the healing numbers, when it comes to that, it's skewed. It's like, great, you break 4 million? 4 million, you healed 4 million damage. It just shows you a broaden of what you did with those to heal those 8 players total instead of looking at individuals. If the healing tab could possibly give like a total on each who like if you got like so and so heals and I got so and so heals, break it down by player instead of overall numbers, I would like that. I would like to see that instead of just who healed and how much they healed. I like to see an individual player amount and how much that player got healed. Because I'm telling you now, the one thing that as a healer we loved about doing that was looking how much the DPS got healed. And if they got way too close to a tank, we need to tell them, all right, look, you're going to have to learn how to slow it down. You're going to have to learn to not burst damage everything and taking as much damage as the tank. Moderation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of number would actually help out a lot. And maybe that could look into maybe a UI change coming up if they thought about that. Ooh, actually, I think a nice little forum thread about that would probably be doing some good. Cha-ching! Mike, write that down. Another thread that popped up on the forums coming close to talking about this was, especially in the Tier 5 raids, how much should DPS be giving to make it where they're viable? And I came into a copy thread of that because, of course, one thread had it. Maybe it had too many pages, so the guy started up a new thread about it, but just reworded the title. But it was practically the same thread. And I came into that new thread because I didn't know about the other one because I didn't really pay attention to it. So I came into this new thread and replied, it's like, I don't really care how much damage the DPS does. All I care about is the boss getting down. As long as the DPS has more damage out than the controller, he's doing his job. If the controller does more damage than the DPS needs to start looking at their loadout, starts looking at their gear. That's when you need to start questioning yourself. But as long as that boss is getting burnt, I'm okay. He did his job. I cannot ask a DPS to do any more than that.
Yeah, I mean, how do you really gauge that? I mean, for me, obviously, with certain powers out there, there are some powers that are going to be doing a lot more than others when it comes to damage.
Exactly.
But, how much, there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration when you look at that, as far as how much damage that doggone DPS are putting out. I mean, I never look at it as a competition on it because of that. because there's going to be other powers out there that's going to be putting out way more damage. And um, to sit there and try and say that a DPS has to put out X amount of damage. For me personally, or if the DPS are just keeping up with each other, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. You don't know if the burn's there or not.
You
You don't
don't.
know if the burn's there or not for that group, for that raid. All right.
I mean, Celestial DPS and Harlight DPS are, in my eyes, are still the most strongest DPS that I have ever seen in the game, even with the revamps to fire earth, or to fire ice and gadgets and mental. I mean, DPS from a DPS standpoint, Harlight and Celestial just burn through it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't play a DPS. DPS is just not my thing. For me, it's just I just don't play it. I just don't. There are so many other DPSers in the game that why do I want to contribute to that when there are so less people that play the actual support roles? So that's just me. But
Yeah.
But coming from learning how to play a Hardlight DPS, and of course I did Celestial DPS as well, those two were just balls to the walls, just fast. They were just non-stop. Where maybe it was just because of the weapon I was using for mental or gadgets, it just did not compare. Now, of course, I'm not saying that those two are the top-notch end-all be-all other than the rest of them. They're just the ones that I have noticed. Now, if there's a mental player out there who is DPS and does great with it, go for it, man. All the way. Now, what makes a perfect DPS is, you have to understand your spec, understand what you're putting your points in, and of course, put where what your loadout is. Your loadout is going to be the biggest thing for that. But for the scoreboard, I think the scoreboard definitely needs to be updated. Especially on a healing side. What do you think we can fix on the tank side? I mean, I think the tank is pretty much set. I don't think of anything off the top of my head that can be fixed with it.
For tanks, I mean, for me personally, I mean, if I don't look at my own stats when I tank. All right, I look at how many times somebody else died. That's what I look at. I mean, the damage and you can look at and everything like that. That just says you were taking most of the damage. I mean, that doesn't really say how well you tanked it, because let's face it. I mean, in a way that could say that you held aggro enough to where you took 8 million damage in a raid. But at the same time, I mean, there's other factors involved. I mean, did you lose aggro, on the ads or the boss, and they went out and they, killed 4 people, but there's so like something that would like gauge the aggro meter, maybe. I don't know. I mean, something like that I think would be nice to have, but I mean, then I don't really know how you would calculate something like that for a scoreboard. Me personally, and all that. The scoreboard I mean, it's useful for seeing, what kind of hold. I mean, you don't need it a lot. The scoreboard a lot for, the things that go on in the raid. All right. I mean, you're gonna know if you have a bad tank that's not holding aggro. All right. You're gonna know if you have a healer who's just not, keeping up. Even without the scoreboard, you're gonna know if you have a controller who's not putting out POT enough, or giving power out enough. All right. So for me, I mean, the scoreboard isn't as needed as a lot of people put it up to be. For me personally. That being said, though, I mean, if there were more options on the scoreboard for us to look at, obviously, that could change things. That could change a lot of things. But I mean, I don't see them. I mean, it'd have to be a lot of information. It'd be a lot of new information, and then you'd have to deal with people, being upset because Oh well, it shows that the score. People see this, what I do on the scoreboard, and I automatically get kicked out. It goes back to the whole thing that we're going to talk about here later. You know, but at the same time, the scoreboard, I think, I don't think so much the game needs a more detailed scoreboard, but we need a leaderboard. We need leaderboards in this game so we can see exactly where everybody stands. Not just in PvP, but PvE as well.
That seems like a different topic for another show. Definitely.
Well, actually, it leads into some of my reasonings behind what we're going to talk about later, but we're going to be talking about that later.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. All right. Next up, I want to talk about was recent server hotfix that came in. Good timing too. Friday nights. Boom. It was the loot changes to Wave and Nexus, which of course everybody and their mother and their grandmothers and probably even the little cousins who haven't been born yet have been begging for loot changes coming to these. They've all been wanting the traces of time. Of course. Let's also understand this. No, I have not been in Nexus. I have not been in Wave. The amount of people that have been just overrunning the forums with these traces of time, this, traces of time, that, I have not felt your need for these items. And will I ever? No. Will I understand it? Sure. But will I ever have that same need? Probably not. My MMO background has taught me that I have ran multiple times on a raid, and I don't always get what I want. I'm still missing stuff from Molten Core from my old MMO days, and I'm still saddened about that. And that place is just all sorts of just nerfed now. But anyways, let me actually find the announcement real fast so I can make sure I've worded everything correctly. So for the Paradox Wave, they've removed the item level 87 drops from the Paradox Tyrant, as well as the Ravager, Warrior, Sentry, and Oppressor if they are defeated without closing the tunnels during the fight with the Tyrant. These bosses should now only drop item level 88 equipment, that is the Traces of Time and Time Warrior or Time Traveler armor, along with the unattuned weapons. The sub-bosses in the Paradox Wave should now drop the level 87 gear when defeated in their tunnels. In Nexus of Reality, they've removed the item level 86 drops from the final boss. It should now drop only 87 equipment, which are the Traces of Time and the Time Traveler items. The weapon drops have been removed from the final boss and replaced with item level 87 rings. The sub-bosses in Nexus of Reality Raid should now drop level 86 armor and level 87 weapons. Now, the level 87 weapons are unattuned as well, right?
All the weapons are unattuned. And I can't confirm that, you get Traces and Time Traveler from the last boss in Nexus. We just got done beating it. I got Traces tank legs again, and I got the Time Traveler feet. And one of the controllers in the group, he got a 87 controller ring. So actually decent loot drops for us this time around.
Very cool. I have heard on the forums, because of course people are talking about this, wanting to know how the loot changes were, and someone reported that they got a mask from Nexus. So they got themselves a new mask.
Awesome.
Yeah. So far on the forums, it has been nothing but positivity with these loot drops. Now, is this something we're going to see coming into DLC 9? I think so. I know they're doing something different. Different from how they did with the other DLCs. So we might see this same routine for DLC 9. We might not. We might see something completely different or something. I don't know yet. Haven't heard anything.
Well, from what I understand, the way the new loot system is and all that, it's going to drop. We're getting right now with Nexus and Wave and all that. That's going to go. They're going to implement that same thing in older content and in newer content to come. However, like you said, what kind of content we're getting the next DLC? Are we getting tier 6 even? That's still up in the air. And hopefully though they don't go to the same practice, like you said. They don't go to the same practice of where the best gear drops in the content, because that's just frustratingly annoying.
It is. It really is, because especially for me, I'll run the raids. I collect my marks to get my gear from the vendor. I honestly don't want to run a raid and all of a sudden something's better than this tier armor that I just bought. It just makes me feel like I wasted marks. You don't want wasteful marks. No one does.
Right.
But there's that. Be sure to head over to the forums, of course, to keep talking about it, keep giving the feedback if you like it, yay or nay. So far, it's just been a lot of yays. And also, another thing that came up with this hotfix, just to poke it in there a little bit, the SOE Live 2013 sign, as well as the SOE Recruit Reward base items, are now non-tradable. They are not tradable, which in fact they really shouldn't have been. I think one of the earlier patches, it accidentally came into it's tradable, but they fixed that now. So, and all the people who have their signs and everything on the marketplace, who have sold it before, trust me, I wish those could just be destroyed from your inventory. All the people that are on the broker right now, I wish the GM had the power to just take it from the auction. You won't get it back, and you won't get your deposit back. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, I mean, me personally, all right, whoever went to SOE Live and put those signs up on the broker, screw you, man. Screw you, buddy. I mean, I don't know who it was, but screw you. All right. But honestly, I mean, I don't think it would have been half as bad if they hadn't put in the hotfix notes last night that, you can't trade it now and it can't be sold, on the broker. Because, I mean, that's basically advertising it. Because, last night after the hotfix notes got posted, I was seeing shouts everywhere, talking about how, hey, looking, SOE Live sign for sale or trade, sent out with offer. And I'm like, come on, man. And the thing that annoyed me the most was it was only going for like freaking 5K or 5 mil rather.
Yeah. Yeah. For the people who, I mean, we all went to SOE Live as a reward for going to SOE Live. As a treat, we got these special items. I mean, for DCUO, we got the signs, especially over at Dragon's Prophet, we got a dragon. That is a dragon from the EverQuest franchise. I was already mad that the SOE Live sign was being sold, was being traded. It's like, you guys don't deserve it. You guys didn't go to SOE Live. You just don't. This isn't like a little McDonald's toy. And honestly, yes, it is a video game, yeah. But honestly, I mean, we spent the money to go and honestly get this little treat from SOE Live. It was a thank you. That's exactly what it was. It was a thank you for coming. You know how mad and infuriated I would have been if I saw like thousands of Nagafin over at Dragon's Prophet? Just, what happened here? It's like, oh, they're we got an infinite amount. We sold them to other players. You just took the rarity of this rare item out the window. Yeah. Just took it out. If you did it for your alts, for your other characters so they can have it in their base, that's one thing. But you giving it to your league mates, you just selling it willy-nilly, thank you for showing you're the kind of person you are. You're greedy, and I understand you want to share it with your friends, but if your friends wanted it, they should have went. They should have went. Next year, I hope it does not happen. I hope this little bug doesn't creep up again, because if you want the item, you should have went. You just should have went. But yeah, we found out through Daddio, I think. Daddio told us about it, and I was like, what? Well, why would people do this? Why? I don't know. Guess people really wanted that $5 million. so they can buy whatever they want on the cash or whatever. But all right, so with that gone out of the way, another big discussion that we wanted to bring up. We started talking about it last week, but of course the forums, as it's moving away from, it started off in the whole unlockable shared feats thread, and it was talking about the skill points and combat rating inspection. It was brought up in that thread, and then of course, as that thread was dying out with the 49 pages, I think it might still be trying to go to just some little stragglers or whatever. It creeped into multiple other threads talking about how people were yay for it, and more people were nay for it. A lot of people were really nay, and I'm not gonna say I wasn't shocked with the nays. It's actually pretty on standard of what I thought was going to be about it. So, Spill did come out saying that on the companion app, they would be doing the combat rating skill points inspection, or at least they're planning on it. I don't know if anything's going to happen in between there, but because of course people on the forums, guess what? The devs do listen. Maybe not to how you specify, but yeah, you know. So with the CR and skill point inspection, you can, of course, you open up your companion app, boom, you see your character. Oh, look, there's Trexlight on my little phone right there. So I can show it shows my stats, it shows my gear that I'm wearing. Oh, right there, it shows my combat rating, it shows my skill points. Now, for me as a player, it's like, oh, I can see my skill points, combat rating. Sweet. Look, 93 skill points. CR 89. Huh. That's a good ratio, in my opinion. I'm okay with these stats. Of course, I go Superpatriot. Look, 200 skill points. Flamboyant combat rating, whatever.
169.
Oh, look, CR negative 100. I mean, whatever. If that was a thing. But and of course, I looked at it and I was really just like, you know, I think that's going to be pretty cool for me. Then I had to remember the community. The community. The reason why we can't have nice things. And I'm going to put on a t-shirt for SW Live next year. DCO community. Why we can't have nice things. So I'm not going to boast the entire community. I'm going to go with the select people who have the audacity and the stupidity to go onto the game every single night to try and run something. Looking for CR 98 for Gates. It's you people. Because yes, we can talk about a little bit of the pros coming for this thing. It's like, cool, you get to see your character, you get to show off a little bit of what your combat rating is, what your skill, how many skill points you have. Cool, you get to show it off a little bit. That's really the only con that people can actually think about. Most people, the pros, a lot of people have the cons. And the cons are, of course, that people are going to use it for not the right reason. People are going to use it to more or less segregate themselves from the rest of the community. Because I can tell you now, a lot of people in the game, they lie about their skill points in their CR. They do. Reason being is because they want to run it. They have the CR to walk into it. But because of all these crazy demands for outrageous CRs or outrageous skill points, they have to lie in order to get into there. And of course, most people will try to inspect them and actually look at their gear and try to figure out if it's actually good or not. And if it's good, yay. If most people just skip that whole process and they just ignore it and they just move on. And I wish that people didn't have to lie. I honestly do wish that people wouldn't go so far with these crazy numbers either. But that's just me. So with this whole new companion app idea, now the raid leaders can go, what's your name? Trexlight? Pull that name up. Oh, 89 CR. You're not 98 that I asked for. What? 93 skill points? What? Who are you? What? 93? No. We're looking for 120 at least, sir. So they just kicked me from the raid. I've been excluded. Not cool. People don't like to be excluded. No, we don't. History has taught us that. We don't. Black people don't. So there's the con. The biggest con for this idea is the fact that the players who cry out for these outrageous CRs are going to use this to segregate more of the community, where you have to meet up with their standards instead, these so-called community standards that these players put out, instead of just following what has been set by the devs. If I have a CR, if a CR 86 is needed to go into Wave or Nexus, I have a CR of 89. I can go into that sucker. Will we wipe? Will we succeed? It only depends on how well we are as a player. And guess what? In a raid, they expect the wipes. No one's perfect. Odyssey wipes. They're not perfect. They know they're not perfect. Every player has a bad night, has a bad day. You're not going to go into a raid 100% knowing that we're going to go through this. It's going to be 30 minutes. No. It's going to be 25-minute tops. We're going to do this. No. You're looking at least an hour, as tonight has proved. That's my spiel. What you got for me, buddy?
All right. And saying now, for me, I personally feel that this could be a good thing. It could be a good thing.
It could be.
Right? And
it could
I
be.
know, and I understand, right? People, you said, right? People will use it for the wrong reasons. All right. They'll use it to, kick out a 99 or a 98, 98 CR over a 99. All right. Which I think is ridiculous. All right. So one of the guys in my league today was actually, he shouted in league saying he needed 100 CR DPS. And I was like, I told him GTFO with that, and he's like, well, that's what they want in this group because he was pugging, and I was like, honestly, dude, I mean, they're ass then. I mean, because I do feel it's ridiculous for ridiculously high CR calls for content, especially like for gates and stuff. Because seriously, but I mean, on the other side of this though, I mean, all right, we need to look at it as in they need to not just do a CR and skill point inspection. All right, with this, all right, we need to actually be able to look at somebody's stats. I was like, okay, it's like I play Battlefield 3, okay, and I'm going to be playing Battlefield 4. They have a website, all right, called their battle log, okay. You go onto their battle log there, and you can look up all of my stats. What my KDR is with with all 4 different classes in there. What my best weapon is. I mean, they've got all these stats listed right there. That's something that we need for this game. All right, something that will show that it's okay. This guy, well, wait, he's only got 93 CR and 80, 100 skill points, but he's beaten Nexus, 20 out of the 25 times he's ran it. All right, but then you look at this guy here who's got 100 CR and maybe 70 skill points because he glitched the shit out of the raids, right? And he's actually only been able to actually complete Nexus, 5 out of the 60 times he's been in there. So, I mean, it's not like we need more information for this other than just CR and skill points, all right? And honestly, so what? I mean, this is gonna sound bad on people are gonna get pissed, but so what if they take if a group would rather run with a 98 CR and 140 skill points than the 95 CR with the 100 skill points? So what? All right, maybe instead of complaining because you can't get into these groups, you should be working towards actually bettering your tune by going through that content. All right, because I mean, I see people all the time in this. I've had them in my league. People join my league with a 54 CR and 28 skill points. All right, and and then they want to get walk-ins into gates. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, there's no way I'm going to freaking walk somebody in like that.
No.
I mean, because and I mentioned this in, I put out a video earlier this week about, called Starting from the Bottom. All right. And I talk about this, and I talked about this a little bit last week too. I was like, you can't, start playing and getting into end content in this game and expect people to hand things to you. That's the whole problem with this whole walk-in system right now, is that, people have been walked into all this content. Now they're overgeared. Well, they're not overgeared, but they've got all this great gear, but they have absolutely no clue whatsoever how to play the game. That's why you have people, complain about the combat mechanics, or the PvP mechanics, or I'm sorry, the combat mechanics in the iconic anomaly challenges. People can't get through those because they don't know how to freaking block break. They don't know how to block. They don't know how to lunge because they've taken absolutely no effort whatsoever to actually learn how to play the game. They just expect to be able to just walk through it all. So if something like this was to come along, if they were to implement, the CR and skill point inspection, but give us a little bit more extra information to, look at, I think it'd be a phenomenal thing, because people would actually, one, take the time to actually learn how to play the game, two, actually go through and play the content in the game, all right, and three, end up being better players, and better additions to any raid group they'd get into. Because to me, all right, a high amount of skill points, and a high CR, all right, that's telling me that you're actually dedicated to that character and learning that character, learning what that character is supposed to be able to do with that power and in that role. All right, if you actually take the time to, and no offense, Trex, but if you actually take the time to go out there and farm to get your mods made for your gear, all right, because you want to have better stats and all that, so that you can tank better, control better, heal better, do better damage, then that's telling me that, you're dedicated towards actually doing well at that job, doing the best that you possibly can at that job. Like I said, no offense, Trex, I know you just don't have the time to farm.
I also have no will whatsoever.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, all right, somebody that, wants to partner up, get into a raid group with me, and they come in and they've got, a spattering of like some of the 86 gear from Wasteland, some of the 85 gear from the tier 580, the Monarch gear, or the whatever, the Manta gear, but all they've got in their gear for mods is alphas and betas. That's telling me you're not really trying that hard. You're not really putting forward you're not putting forward the best effort. Because yeah, you know what? You may actually be able to out heal somebody with, expert mods in their 86 gear, or even somebody that's in like full traces, in 86 gear. You may actually be able to out heal them, but think about how much more you'd be able to heal if you had that extra resto. Think how much more you'd be able to, how much better you'd be able to tank if you had, all that extra, dominance. I mean, I, even the devs, and it's kind of frustrating me. Even the devs, Jens came out a while back that, leveling your CR up is more important than leveling your skill points up. I completely and wholeheartedly disagree with that. Because like I said, it shows dedication to that character, all right? It shows that you've actually accomplished these things, all right? You've actually gone in there and you've gotten, the no tag out feat, DPS in it, or healing it, or tanking it. You've actually gotten the speed feat in FOS 2, all right? I think we should be able to look at people's feats like that. And with, this future thing coming up here with us being able to purchase feats, not able to tell us somebody purchased that feat with replay badges. I'm sorry, unlock that feat with replay badges. I think we should be able to tell if that person on that character unlocked that feat, or if they actually earned it or not. I mean, I think the CR and skill point inspection thing, I think that is just the tip of the iceberg of all the information that we could actually search up on a player, or on a particular character, and learn about that. And then when people, and along with all that, I know I'm on a roll right now. I know that, but with with all that information out there, they could actually implement a global leaderboard. All right. So you could see who in the entire USPS3 is the top DPS for raids, who is the top healer, who, is the top tank, who's the top controller. All right. Now, some of those leaderboards, they could be skewed because, people just like reset gates, all damn day and all that. But if you look, add that additional information to it, so, he's been the top DPS on the game and he's run gates 100 times. But that's the only, but he's only run Nexus and Paradox like 3 or 4. All right. It's like I said, it's the tip of the iceberg. I mean, and there could be so much more information. And then when you see those numbers on that leaderboard and you see this information, you see what the community is setting as the standard for going into the content. All right. You will actually have people actively looking to go and get those standards, get themselves up to those standards. To me, it's a motivational tool. To others, I can see it as being excluding, and it's catering to the elitists. I can see that. I understand that. But if we had more information to gain from this CR and skill point inspection of tunes and all that, and all the other things that I just listed, I honestly think it would be more of a motivational thing. Because there's going to be people that get excluded out of content because maybe their skill points aren't as high as the next guys. But you know what? It doesn't take that long to go out there and get those skill points. It does not take that much effort. At the end of the day, all right, while this is supposed to be a casual game for most players, it's still an MMO. It's still an MMO. And people need to realize that you have to be willing to put in the time and the grind on an MMO.
Yeah. With the stats thing for the app, I mean, I wouldn't. With the stats thing, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't. But if a player base, especially because with the CR, it doesn't matter what you're wearing; it's what is in your inventory, which is one thing that needs to be addressed, in my opinion. It needs to be what you're wearing shows your CR. Well, I understand the work behind it, but that's definitely something that needs to happen in the future. But let's say that, I mean, I just got done running a challenge, and I haven't even switched my gear yet. And I was running DPS with my DPS gear. I haven't even put my tank gear on. I haven't switched the roles. If someone looks up my character on the companion app like that second, and it somehow refreshed and it had those stats, they're looking for a tank, they look me up, it's going to be the wrong stats. It's going to be the wrong gear. They're just going to say no to me all the way before I had a chance to even change my gear out and all that stuff. So showing stats on it, I'm okay with. But for the elitist jerks who are going to use it in that manner, then it's going to really show their stupidity, and also it's going to hurt that player's chances. Like, hey, I haven't even switched out my gear yet. Can you at least give me a moment? I just got done running something. So, I mean, and there's your downfall for that. But I'm all for it. I don't mind it. I mean, the PlanetSide 2, they have a little system in there that's in beta for their website. Meps linked to us last week in the chat. And we even looked up my character, and it was very revealing. I felt naked. And also embarrassed that I had such low stats. I'm not saying I expected.
I mean, honestly, though, how often have you actually played PlanetSide 2?
I logged on twice.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's another telling factor too, man. I'm saying you take a look at it, take a look at those stats. I was looking at all those stats and I was laughing, I was making jokes, but at the same time, I looked at, when you actually started playing that character, and it was like 2011 is when you started playing it.
Launch day, baby. Launch day.
So, I mean, it's, that's telling. I mean, that's like, you got on, you played it a couple of times and all that, and you haven't touched it since. Right? People will see that stuff. All right. Now, if there was like if they were to come up and they were to inspect me and say, you know what, and say my stats were actually, I only had, a 78 CR and I only had 50 skill points. All right, but I've been playing this game since launch. People are gonna look at that and you're like, man, these guys quit like freaking for months on end. Multiple times he's had to have, right? But if people, they come up and they inspect and all that, and they see, oh, this guy's been playing since launch, and he's got 99 CR, 169 skill points. This dude's he's been doing what it do for a while, and but at the same time, some of the newer players have come along, so they take a look at a player, who's just started playing, say 6 months ago, right? And they're sitting at about, say, 83 CR and about 60 skill points. And then there's going to be another person who's been playing for a shorter amount of time, and they've got, a 95 CR and 120 skill points. They're going to look at it and say, God damn, this dude's been hitting it hard. Let's pick him up. To me, I don't see anything wrong with that. I honestly don't. And I know it may sound elitist and all that to look at it that way, but I honestly don't see anything wrong with that. If you want to, if you want to do the content, man, you gotta be willing to put in the time to earn your way into it. I mean, how many walk-ins have you been on in Trex? How many times have you been walked into stuff?
I was walked into gates twice. Well, I mean, I had the CR, but I was walked into gates twice just so I can get my CR up to do the higher end stuff, because they were trying to like gear me out for Prime, because my league, of course, said I couldn't do Prime with my current CR. So, I mean, I got walked into Prime. Actually, no, I wasn't the CR for gates. I do remember that. I was at that hump that I couldn't cross. So Black Ember went into gates with my league. I mean, it was a league run. They walked me in. I was still tanking it. I main tanked it. There was no other tank in there. So, I mean, I was doing my part just with a low CR. And, I mean, and we got through it. That was
What was your CR, though, at the time?
It was that hump where it's like I needed that 2 more CR. And I just
you needed a tier 4 mod?
Yeah. And, yeah, pretty much. And of course, me being stubborn, it's like, I don't have the mats. I didn't really care about modding that much. So, but I mean, I completed gates and I used my marks to get a new piece of armor, and boom, my CR got to where it needed to be without the mod. So, I mean, that was really my only time you walked in. It wasn't really a carry because I still did my job. I was in fact the tank for that run. I did learn, and even so, the video on my channel for that guide, that in fact was my first time going into gates. That video was me going the first time into gates, and I recorded it, and I did the walkthrough commentary behind it. That was my first time going in there. Really proud of that video too. So, I am.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, you know what? That's what leagues are for. I mean, the argument has been made as if they want to run content, with uber, geared people and all that. That's what their league is for. Well, the argument can be used as the same thing. All right, if you want to get into content and you're under geared, that's what your league is for. All right, you can't fault the pug system for it. You can't really fault the pug system for it completely, because I mean, it swings, that pendulum swings both ways.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it literally is. So, and of course we're talking about on the council as well, and we're split with it, because I mean we all see the pros and the cons, but sadly in our eyes the cons just waver so much that I mean, we're, especially for me, I have no problem with it. I wouldn't mind seeing it. It's and looking at something like that, I would expect the skill points and the CR to be in there. but because on how certain members of the DCO community will treat it and use it, I don't want it in. I just don't. There's a lot of flaws coming from a community standpoint that if the community wasn't so ridiculous with asking for the certain stuff, and trust me, I look at those and I don't run with those people. I don't, of course, because one, I don't have those CRs, and I'm not always with my league because it's just my work schedule and my time I'm actually able to play. I do a lot of pugging. I don't mind it one bit. If we wipe, we wipe. We'll even wipe on alerts. It doesn't matter. I ask people, it's like, hey, does anyone know what they're doing? Because I, at least when I'm running something, I set the time aside. I know it's going to take maybe an hour to get through something, a raid or an alert. I'm not expecting everybody to go into one of these things to know what they're doing. You take the initiative to ask your group, does everyone know what they're doing? No? Okay, when we get to a boss fight, we're going to take some time, and I'm going to take a couple of seconds. I'm going to tell you what to do. Now, of course, it is easier for a league. It's easier if you had like a community voice chat that everybody can just run into just openly and talk about it. It's easier. It's way easier to talk. Way easier. Hell, use the voice chat. PC, PS3 uses it. We just have a better service because, Ventrilo, Mumble, TeamSpeak, the list goes on. But it's easier to talk instead of type, so we could easily just turn it on and go with it, go with the flow. But the CR and the SP inspection, I know it's being discussed on the forums. I think there's like multiple threads about it. I don't really have one off the top of my head that's really going through it. But, I mean, it's still something that you guys need to voice your opinions onto the forums about so the devs know how you feel about it. Making sure you guys voice your opinions. Definitely do. Because the devs do listen. They want to hear the feedback so they can make a proper decision on how they want to go forward. We on the council, we're a small voice. You guys are the many. We devs just ask us questions and we're just like, yay or nay, and just give our personal feedback. I know for me, I go to the forums and I hear what you guys have to say and I try to relay specific ones back, voice what everybody's talking about. I try to make sure to listen to everything. I mean, you guys got to go to the forums. You guys got to voice yourself about this. If you guys want it, say why you want it. And if you're one of those people who are asking about the whole segregation thing, if you're one of those elitists, don't say anything. Just don't. Flame just comes down upon your post. The flames of hell. But honestly, just go out there, voice your opinion onto the forums. People are going to hate it just because people are just going to hate. There's already a lot of hate onto the forums anyways. I don't know why people even still come to the forums. They're just going to spout all the nonsense. If you don't like something, don't do it. I don't like eating Chinese food. I don't go to a Chinese restaurant because I don't like it. But, I mean, we're both on the same page. We see the pros for it, but I mean, it's the cons that are just weighing it out, and the con is the community, the elitists in the community. And one of the things I wish that, and I've been planning on this for like months now, and because I want to try to always set time aside on a weekday, two times a week at least, one on a weekday, one on a weekend. And if my internet, my streaming would have been working better, I was actually going to have like a community raid group, a community raid night, where I log in. It's like, all right, look, I'm looking for people between CR, whatever CR you need for like gates or something, all the way up to before you can get up to the Nexus and them. It's like CR 80, isn't it?
70.
70, sorry.
70 for gates.
Yeah, CR 70 to, shoot, why not, 75. I want the quote-unquote noobs. I was going to take 7 people of that. I was going to go with the 2-2-2-2 format. 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 controllers, 2 DPS. I want to go official. And go into gates. And raid these people and lead these people to victory in a raid that they probably couldn't get into. Because people are asking for astronomical, crazy CRs. And you know what? Are we going to wipe? most likely, that's going to be a sure hell thing. Whenever I step into Nexus or Wave, whenever I can find the time, I know I'm going to wipe. Hell yeah, I'm going to wipe. I've seen the videos. I've read the strategy. Putting it into execution is going to be another thing. But it's going to be an adventure. And that's what I like. The adventure. Yeah, that was my idea I've been wanting to do for the past couple of months as a community raid night. I think it'd be really cool, really helpful.
Yeah. Well, see, I did that once before. Somebody shouted out for on the official forums. He was wanting to live stream like from like FOS 1 up through Prime, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And and that's what we did. I mean, we were able to, if you were able to queue into Prime and all that, you got into this group, and I tanked every single one of those damn raids. But he was live streaming. I was like, this would be cool and all that. People. I shouted out his channel and everything like that. You guys want to come see me? Go through. I think one of my Prime videos I did for tanking Prime, I actually used that Prime raid for for my guide for tanking it. So, and there's nothing wrong with stuff like that. But like I said, I mean, it all goes back to, people are afraid of the elitists using this for the wrong reason for pugs. Well, and if they want those perfect groups, that they should, use their leagues for it. The same argument can be said, about those people that are trying to get into it that don't meet those community standards. All right, and if people saying the community standards are messed up and all that, well, some people are in agreement that the community standards on group loot shouldn't have to be followed either. So if we ignore one community standard, does that mean we ignore all of them?
Have you ever tried Master Looter?
No, Master Looter is a horrible practice. I don't think there's anybody in this game I could trust with Master Looter.
That's true.
Especially now with power respecs and everything like that.
Yeah, it's very true. Well, what I'm also wondering about is like with the Master Looter, would the Master Looter even work for
Tier 5? I doubt it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how that would even work.
I doubt because right now the loot in Tier 5 works more like round robin.
That's true.
Than anything else. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a thought because back in my raiding days, I didn't mind Master Looter one bit. You had our raider was trustworthy enough. It's like, well, at the same time, it was back in the day. Master Looter now, it's like, how do you even determine it? There's no / roll in this game. So,
yeah.
Master Looter will pretty much just have to hand it out to us like, all right, you're gonna get this.
Well,
this,
from my understanding, the way Master Looter is, right, whoever has lead of the group, right, has control over who gets what loot. That's the way Master Looter works in this game. So, and that's why I said I don't think there's anybody I honestly would trust with that.
Would you trust me?
Huh? Yeah, I trust you. There's people I would trust, but dude, that number of people is very small.
Understandable to that. So that's really our show. Once again, we do apologize that we weren't able to stream or anything. Oh crap, we actually forgot to mention this at the earlier show, of course. FNL Friday Night Legends episode 25 was a long one.
Yes.
Because I think the first hour, their initial hour, was nothing but trying to fix Prime, trying to get it to work. They were trying to do this whole new PvE challenge thing, which on paper it sounded nice.
Yeah. And when they finally got working correctly, it looks really cool. It looks like something that the competitive PvE crowd out there might want to sign up for.
That's true.
I can't say that with a straight face. I'm sorry. Yeah, it looks like something to be. It's a change. Instead of doing it's like, okay, 10-minute gates runs. Seeing stuff like that. Now let's see if you can take on all the Luthors. Let's see if you can take on all the Batman. Stuff like that. I thought it was really interesting and cool. Love to see how once they iron everything out, how it all works.
I agree. And it, I don't know. I mean, they had Tomorrow's Hope, which is coming from the Hero side on the US PS3. Those guys rocked it out. They were going to originally do Prime Battleground, but some issues there. Luckily, Locke came in and saved the day as he was leaving to go home to the family. And practically, I think he almost stayed the rest of the show. So they decided to scrap Prime Battleground and just went to they went into Nexus, I believe. Or was that Wave that they went to Nexus? I think they went to Nexus to fight the Luthors. So they followed the Luthors and succeeded, I will have to say. And the one thing I want to take away from tonight was they all went back in their base after a successful victory, and then I think a Luthor was set off in their base and wrecked everybody. Because all I know is I had my headphones on, looked at the television set, all of a sudden started hearing screams. It's like, what's going on, Luthor? I looked over, everybody's kneeling, everybody has the clockwork or the icon above their head, and Luthor just blasting his way through. It's like, what just happened here? But go Jens and his nastiness of doing wicked things to wicked people. But it was really cool. FNL 25, definitely a long one for the record books.
Yeah, definitely a long one. But it was a good one. I mean, it was a good one. Like I said, it was a cool seeing an actual PvE challenge rather than, let's see how get through gates in under 10 minutes or I put you in a hole of doom.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely good, and can't wait to see what 25 more episodes looks like for them. Really happy that they made it to this landmark.
Yeah.
When they get up to 50, come talk to us.
And don't forget, episode 26 next week, Olympus Finals.
That's right.
Second Olympus game finals.
That's right. How was this week?
This week was good. 2v2s are wrapping up. They are looking really good. There's actually fresh names in there too. I'm really impressed by that and happy to see that. Plus, a lot more exciting things with Olympus to come too that hopefully we'll be able to talk about next week.
Ooh, some secrets.
Yeah. I think you know.
You know
I think I told you. I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. I can talk to you about it.
I know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay. Now I remember.
Yeah.
Silly tricks. So, all right, guys. Thank you all so much for listening in. Again, next week we'll try and get the stream working. I know I'm still having some issues trying to stream gameplay. It's just been one hell of a thing after another. So, if I could fix my internet with a hug, I would, and probably strangle it to death. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And we will see you guys next week over at twitch.tv/TrexLight. Come around 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's normally when we try to come on after FNL. You never know. Jens likes to hog the spotlight, and we love him for that. So, shameless plug, you can of course find the DCUO Sourcecast over on Facebook and on Twitter. Just find us at DCUO Sourcecast. Suits, where can we find you? You can find me, of course, at youtube.com/The Dice House. I'm also on Facebook, The Dice House on there. And, of course, I'm on the Twitter at The Dice House there. Also, don't forget, I still have the kingdomcome.engine.com site. It is up and live and everything like that. Feel free to come by and join the community there. It's for all DCUO players, no matter what server or platform you play it on. All right, Trex, where can we find you? You can find me over at youtube.com/TrexLight. That's apparently been slow on videos, but my bad. Trying to get my computer to work before I do something stupid. And you can also find me on Facebook at /TrexLight, and also on the Twitter @ThisIsTrex. You can also find me over at my website, and of course, you can find all the episodes over at TrexLight.com. So, thank you all so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time.
Y'all take care.
That's it. Game's over. Step along, nothing to see. Get going before my good mood wears off. That means now.